Hello, my name is Sonia Richardson, and today we're going to discuss the importance of good training. I created an acronym called LEAD, and today we're going to discuss that. LEAD stands for laying the groundwork, encouraging, advancing, and developing. So what does this mean exactly? Well, first thing to know is everybody is different. They learn differently. They react differently. They all appreciate different things, and it is mostly due to the way they were brought up or what generation they are in. Everyone is motivated differently, so it's important to understand what differences those are. The Gen X, Gen Y, baby boomers, those are just a couple of the current generations in the workplace. So let's break it down a little. Right now, these are the four generations that we have in the workforce. We have the seniors, the baby boomers, the Gen Xers, and the Gen Yers. Where the seniors want that face-to-face interaction, they want you to talk to them directly. They want to meet face-to-face. They want to call and talk on the phone. They don't want the emails. We have them in the workplace, the seniors, all the way to the extreme of the Gen Yers, where they rather text or they rather use communication like we are today, where it's not face-to-face and we're not interacting immediately. So there are different characteristics and motivators for each of the generations. With the traditionalists, they're very structured and rigid. Their motivators are change, texting, casual work environment. And then we have the baby boomers. They're loyal, optimistic. And with this group, you generally see they start out and end in the same career or company through their whole working career as an adult. Their demotivators are clock watchers, missed deadlines, and negative feedback. Gen X, they're independent, they value empowerment, they're skeptical, tech savvy. They have, and to this group, though, they work to live. So baby boomers are quite opposite of that. You live to work. So that's something to understand, though a lot of the baby boomers are parents of the Gen X. You have to understand that they have two different concepts of work life, work balance. Demotivators for the Gen X is deorganization, micromanagement, corporate politics. Gen Y, they value community outreach, diversity, um, over diversity and money. They are results oriented, loyal to people, and need and expect praise. They dislike rigid work schedules, conforming to old styles and rules. So, as you can see from this graph, we have a wide array of people in the workplace, and you have to understand how to balance and cater to the needs of each of the people that work for you. Um, and this is a great example of different people that you may come into contact not only in the workplace, but in your personal life as well. So, excuse me, how do we lay the groundwork? First, we have to set expectations. They have to be clear and written out. So, whenever you hire a new employee, you don't want to explain to them that here is here's where we're at. We want you to be doing really good, in 90 days, and we just expect you to just know your job pretty well. We have to lay out expectations and they have to be clear. Okay, new employee, here we are today. Here's where we expect you can be, and this is how we're going to get there. It has to be clear, written out, and something that is obtainable, which is the next step in our process. You have to set goals. So we have the new employee. This is where we want to be with them. So we're going to set goals, and they're going to be measurable and they're going to be obtainable. So you don't expect an employee in their first 90 days to be as competent as someone who's been here for, say, 2, 3 years. So you want to give goals to this person that'll help them, um, you know, once they're obtaining these goals and they're growing and they're learning more, it's going to make them feel better, make them want to do more. So you want to set these goals in increments, throughout time, to work up to where your ultimate goal is. So let's say we have a loan officer, and the loan officer is you're wanting to get them up to 100 grand in new loans per month. Well, they are new with the company, so they're not going to do that in the first month. So you have to slowly work them up to that. Maybe in the first 30 days, we're going to work for 33% of that, so a third of it. And over the first 90 days, maybe 33% the first month, 66% that second month, and then, maybe by the ninth month they can reach 100% of that goal, but you're going to make it obtainable, to that person, and it's going to be measurable, and it's going to help them, get their confidence up there because they're going to see where they started and where they've come. So it's very important to set goals that are obtainable and measurable. Next, for laying the groundwork, we're going to do a SWOT analysis. A SWOT analysis is really interesting if you do it at the beginning and at the end. So I'll explain the at the end as we loop around during this presentation. So what is a SWOT analysis? It's your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So if you have a new employee and they sit down and they really think about what their strengths are, I'm a good communicator, I am very detail oriented, I'm very organized. These are my strengths. My weaknesses may be I get overwhelmed, or something along the lines of that. So we want to lay all this out, and we're going to start giving them tools to improve on their weaknesses, and we're going to lay out the opportunities and threats, and we're really going to look at this as a whole package and try to start building a, a, a game plan on how to make this person or this employee use their strengths and their opportunities to improve their weaknesses and eliminate the threats. So now we are going to start into the E of the lead. We're going to first start by encouraging. It's very important when you have a new employee on the job that you're encouraging them and not discouraging them. And one thing that's really interesting about encouragement is people are encouraged in two different ways, either internally or externally. So that's extrinsic or intrinsic. And what does that mean? Does cash externally, do they need something physically, a trophy, their name on the wall? Do they need that? Or do they need like an email or some good praise, something internally to make them feel good? You have to figure that out. And you have to work with that on getting your person encouraged and want them to do better for you. And you have to continually encourage and help them grow. Next, we are going to listen. Always be available to listen to your employees. It's very important. There's nothing discouraging than starting a new job and having a boss who doesn't want to take the time to listen, or that doesn't care about your wants, your needs, concerns. You have to remember you hired this person because you thought they could do the job and do it well. And sometimes, since they are frontline employees, they have good advice or good suggestions because they're upfront doing it. Next, give them the tools and knowledge. You don't want to hire someone and expect them to hit the ground running with no knowledge of their expectations, no knowledge of the company, and you want to give them the tools to be successful. So make sure that this goes back to listening, talking to the employee, making sure that they have everything they need to be successful and they understand the expectations, and ask them if there's anything lacking. You don't want to hire a teller and go out there and expect them to be able to balance their drawer, but you don't have a calculator or anything like that for them. You want to give them those tools, and you want to give them the knowledge to know how to do their job and do it successfully. In the end, if you help your employees be successful, you'll be more successful. Next, we're going to work on the A of our lead. So we're going to help people advance. So at this point, we've done the training, we're working on goals, we're encouraging them. Now we're going to start giving them the reins and empowering them. We're going to let them know that we trust in their ability to make good decisions, and that's where we're at in our relationship and in the process of lead. So giving an employee the reins to make decisions and to go out there and test things out is really important, because that lets them know that you trust in them and that you're going to, step back and let them make the decisions, and that helps make them feel good as well. Next, we're going to provide feedback. Unfortunately, sometimes it's negative feedback, but you don't want to come at it negatively. If you're going to give feedback that is not so pleasant, make sure that it's constructive. And always remember, the employee will remember what is after the but. And what I mean by that is, if you say, Sally, you do a really good job cross-selling, but you could be better at, they're going to remember everything that came after that word but. So make sure you start out with some constructive criticism. Sally, you work really good doing this, and I know you're growing, and you would be more effective if we did this. And I also noticed that you're really, really good at this, and I appreciate this. So we're ending on a good note. But we have it out there that we need to work on this, and you would be more productive if we did this. So it's really important to watch how you bring feedback to people, because you don't want to discourage them. You want to encourage them and show them how they can make a better impact on their job by doing something different, something as small as changing their routine. Next, we're going to follow through and follow up. This is probably one of the most important things in my time with a company that I spent many years with. I had an employer who we would start out great on, here's our goals, here's what we're going to do. I would be all excited. I would go in there and we wouldn't follow up. We wouldn't get our prizes. Nothing would ever come of all this hype. So I would soon decide that, I wouldn't feed into the hype in the future whenever something else came up. So it's really important that you follow through, follow up. If you say you're going to do something, you have to do it, because the employee's going to remember if you do not follow through on your end of the bargain. So you have to keep your promises. Next, we're going to lead into our next part of the LEAD program. And if you're looking at this, as you can see, it's kind of a tree. We've planted the groundwork. We've got it growing, the E and the A, and now we're in the D phase, the develop. And so we've got our tree, it's blossoming, and so we're helping our tree grow, if you can see the connection there. So for the development phase, we need to be available to our employees. It's very important to have the time to discuss their concerns, to go back over goals. Here's where we started. Look where you are now. You have to be there, and you have to hold yourself accountable to these employees, or they won't be there for you. Next, we're going to circle back to the SWOT analysis. If you remember in the beginning, I said you would do it in the beginning and in the end, and you're going to see how far the employees come. They should have different strengths and some of the same weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Hopefully, we're eliminating the threats. We're working on those weaknesses, and we're taking advantage of those opportunities. So this is a great time to see where we've come, and to circle back and see what else we could be doing to continue to develop and improve this employee. Last but not least, we have to reward and reevaluate. So here's where we're going to kick in and do the intrinsic, extrinsic encouragement. So you'll be doing it the whole time, but here's where we're at the end. We've hired an employee, maybe we're on their 90-day, maybe we're 1 year in. This isn't an overnight situation. You're doing this over time. So we're going to reward, you're doing really good, you met your goal. We're going to go back and, you know what, maybe we need to work on a step in the process. It's okay to go backwards. So we're reevaluating. We're going to constantly be developing. And so this isn't the end. A tree never stops growing. So you have to continue to develop and work with your employee. It's really important. So that's LEAD. The most important thing to take away from today is to understand, like I said before, the better you train and the more time you put in with your employee developing them, the stronger relationship, the healthier relationships you're going to have, and the better they're going to work for you. In the end, if you put the work in up front, they'll put the work in after that. And it's going to make you look better, for one, and you're going to have less work to do because you did it right the first time. So I hope you learned something today, and if you have any questions, let me know. Thank you.